The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
I want to welcome everyone to this webinar on our Moving Forward Toolkit for Local Leaders. Welcome. We look forward to working with you, moving your communities forward. My name is Jennifer Roberts, and I am the director of the Path to Positive program for EcoAmerica. I'm the former mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina, and a former county commissioner, so I know what local officials are working with when you're dealing with climate impacts and climate plans for your communities. Joining me today is Megan Spicer, our executive director. Megan.
Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you everybody for joining us in this webinar. Your leadership on climate change is critical, and the people of the United States are really looking for their local leaders to step up on climate, to help prepare their communities and help protect them against the impacts of climate change. So today's webinar is really meant to help you to understand how your leadership is important, as well as show you the tools that are going to help you lead on this issue in relevant ways to your community. A little bit about EcoAmerica. We are a nonprofit, and our mission is to build a critical mass of institutional leadership, public support, and political will for climate solutions in the United States. We work with communities to help provide you programs and resources to help with your climate leadership, help you be visible leaderships on the issue, and help shift the narrative on climate to one that is relevant for all Americans, no matter where they live. We're also working with our partners to build that collective impact. The more we can work individually and collectively on this issue, the more progress we will make. We work across a variety of different sectors. We work with the health community. We have over 27 partners in health, reaching America and every community across the nation, whether it's with pediatricians, public health officials, nurses, doctors, or so forth. We also work in the faith community. We work with major denominations in the United States that reach over 20 million Americans and over 80,000 congregations nationwide. And of course, we work in local communities as well. And you can see here a lot of wonderful organizations that help support communities nationwide. And speaking of communities, I'm going to turn it back over to Jennifer, who's going to talk to you about our communities program.
Thanks, Megan. So the Communities program is working to support your community and helping you build public support and political will for climate solutions and climate action. We work to help you build visible leadership, and we work with our national and our regional partners. We help provide communications and research, resources, and guides that will facilitate constituency engagement and help you support community action. These are cross-sector resources, as Megan mentioned, in health and faith, as well as communities. And that helps bring trusted messengers to the table who may not be city leaders, but who can be your allies. We work directly with your community to develop your role model, your learning models, and we also are focusing on equity in our engagement, as every community we know is doing today. This is just a screen showing our partners. We work with the National League of Cities on a national level. We also work with the Urban Sustainability Directors Network. And then we have some regional groups like the Local Government Commission in California, Mississippi River, Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Seaway, and we have a number of direct programs. And you'll see those to the right. Our newest one is Growing Climate Solutions in Southwest Florida. And they are building leadership in that part of the country, which is so critical considering the impacts they're seeing in Florida. We know that your role is incredibly important. Local government is central to the impacts, but also to the solutions and your residents and citizens are looking for that visible local climate leadership. When you engage the public, you get better support for initiatives, but you also can find access to on-the-ground solutions. Messaging with your constituents makes a huge difference in the success, and we've done research there. We've tested the guidance that we're going to share with you today. We know that your resources are scarce, and we want you to leverage the free tools that we're making available to you. And we know that engagement is not just an outcome, it's also a process. And as you continue to engage your community, you're going to find this brings success in other areas of local government as well. So let's focus on the toolkit. The first aspect is let's talk communities and climate. This actually goes through how your messages can reach across sector, across the partisan divide, and really be appropriate to your specific community. We also have a customizable video, which is an animation and is a fun way to get a conversation started. We have a moving forward guide to get you started. We have a checklist of ideas you may not have thought about, in everything from water to land use to air quality that your community can start focusing on. We have sample climate declarations that I'll talk about in a little bit, and they provide a model that you might use to make your own declaration. We have a customizable letter to your community that you can put on your website to tell your community why sustainability and climate action is important. We also are including health and faith resources because we know communities are turning to other sectors and looking to those trusted messengers in new ways to make sure that we're reaching the public in a broader fashion. And finally, you'll find that there are links to more talking points and to research. We have blogs, we have newsletters that can help bring you up to date, that can help give you counterpoints to folks who might be naysayers or less inclined to be supportive. So the first one I mentioned is all on messaging. And just to reemphasize, this is research tested. We do polling every year. We do different aspects of polling every month, and we are looking to make sure these messages resonate. So when we talk about, for example, something is good for the economy, that's kind of a big concept that's hard for people to grasp. But when you say we're going to attract new business, we're going to attract the solar industry or the wind industry, we're going to attract energy efficiency companies, people can envision a business or a company coming. Saying the economy is more vague and doesn't resonate as well. And this guide has a number of those types of messages where we actually tell you what word choice is going to make a better impact. And so that helps you replace the words and phrases to some key talking points that are going to really help you communicate in a way that your constituents will understand and will feel motivated by. We even have a sample speech for a mayor or a city council or a council member or a commissioner on how to approach climate with your community. Then we talked about a customizable video. And this one, as you can see, has been customized for our partner in Utah. And I'm going to play the beginning of it so you can see the perky tone and the positive spin it puts to help engage your community. The next part of our toolkit is what we call the Moving Forward Guide. And you can see here a brief agenda on what's in that. This is really geared toward small and mid-sized cities who may not have a climate plan in place or may not have a sustainability department, but it has resources that can help communities of any size. It basically talks about what essentials you need to know about climate and things that you can, actions you can take right away, from mitigation to resilience, and then of course to engagement, which is part of every climate plan. So it goes through some basic things about why local leadership is important, about the fact that it is not just a science or an infrastructure issue, it is also a social and ethical issue, that we need to look for nonpartisan solutions, that technology is changing every day, and more solutions are coming forward that have great benefits. It also talks about the need to focus on equity and to realize that vulnerable community members are the most impacted. So it goes through a series of steps that your community can take to begin to establish priorities, to look for the quick successes, the low-hanging fruit, should we say. Making that visible commitment is extremely important, and you can see in this picture here of the folks in Utah who made that Path to Positive Utah commitment to a cleaner, healthier, and stronger future for their citizens. It reminds folks to engage everyone, to embed solutions in every aspect of your local government, to recycle some savings, to build on that success, and keep going. And there are some hints about getting started, and we know that measurement's important for greenhouse gases, but don't let that stop you from making progress. There's so many things you can do. Your community is unique. You're going to figure out ways with your residents that you can make progress. Energy reduction is the first step. Renewable energy, some communities have more access than others, but that is the second step. Look at not just doing what you're working with in your city or county operations, but also encourage your employees to look at what they're doing at home. And then we look at the different aspects, buildings, transportation, your zoning, waste management, even your purchasing stream, and how you deal with natural resources, parks, greenways, stream and lake buffers that you have. All of these are part of mitigation. We know resilience is something that communities are looking at more and more. As the impacts become more severe, we know that communities are trying to reinforce buffers that they have to storm impacts, to make sure they have places of refuge for people who are displaced by flooding or fires. And we know that people and communities, as well as infrastructure and your natural systems, sometimes you have iconic natural features that are impacted. All of these can be threatened. So we work in this section to give you resources for national organizations that have more specifics on resilience planning and funding. But we walk you through how you make an assessment, look at your options, how you prioritize, leveraging your resources through partnerships, again, engaging and including your stakeholders and citizens every step of the way so they know that their government is taking action on their behalf. And then how to explain it so that your residents understand it. When you're building a transit line, or when you are building refuge centers, or increasing their resiliency, folks need to know all along the way why you're doing it and that you're doing it with them. Make the resilience efforts about the people in the community, and don't forget the most vulnerable, folks who may not have internet access, who need to be informed, folks who are on the front line in flooding areas, folks who may be in the lower lying communities. So that's the end of our moving forward guide. And again, at the end of each of those sections, you will see a list of resources that are available online. The next part of our toolkit is what we call our Climate Actions Checklist. And this is it's 9 pages. It's just a list of all the things you might consider when it comes to your operating your buildings. How do you increase efficiency? How do you have you know, a green energy supply, or how do you have suppliers who are doing using recycled paper, and how do you make sure that your operations are more efficient? Transportation, of course, is a big area. We know it's about a third of our greenhouse gas emissions in this country, and many communities are building transit lines or doing bike lanes, making places more walkable. Land use and zoning, planning that will help with both climate impacts and resilience. Water quality and quantity are both at risk with increased flooding, with increased rainstorms, areas of drought that are occurring in our country. Waste management, then of course, economic development, attracting business, making sure that we're in that just transition to a new energy economy. Looking at equity and health. How do you make sure that the folks who are impacted, where there are higher rates of asthma, where there are higher rates of respiratory and cardiovascular illness, how do you make sure those folks are included in your resilience planning? And then looking at adaptation, looking at your emergency services, regional coordination, which is a way to leverage resources and make sure that you're connecting rural and urban centers. A lot of times your neighboring counties to large cities may not have the resources, and you need to share in a way that helps everyone. And then of course, community engagement. There are several steps in the checklist that talk about that. The next aspect of our toolkit are some sample declarations we talked about. Path to Positive Utah has one of the shorter, simpler ones that starts with common values and makes a commitment to a clean and prosperous future. We also have an example from Mississippi River Cities and Towns, and then one from another community that can be customized. It has to fit your particular community with the values that you share and that your citizens share. We added into our toolkit our health and faith resources from the other sectors of the Eco America works in. And we have some new resources in these areas. Some of the ones that I find communities most interested in include mental health and climate. So many folks realize that it's not just people fleeing from climate impacts who have been flooded out or have had their homes destroyed by fire, but it's also their families. It's also young people looking at their future. There are so many people who have depression from some of the impacts or are dealing with post-traumatic stress. And so our guide on mental health helps communities work through that. We also have a new resource on faith communities and how they have worked to fuel social movements, with some learnings for how you build climate action and climate public support for climate action in your community. And we do these climate perspectives research on topical areas such as what children's health is, how children's health is impacted by climate. And we have statistics there that help you make your case to the community and help you engage groups, like moms and dads who care about their children's future. We have moving forward guides, not just for communities, but also in faith. And coming forward, we'll have one in health. And the 15 steps, that is about the messaging. And that, if you will follow that when you are presenting on climate to your community, you will find that you are going to be engaging people. You're going to be talking about things that are relevant to them. They can see right now. You're going to build on common values and tell some stories and have a much better success with the engagement of your community. So you will find these resources free on our website. You can download them, you can print them, but please be using those and look through all the resources at the Path to Positive website. The next couple of slides, I want to show just some of our partners who have taken our resources and really engaged their community. This is the Path to Positive Utah website. Mayor Jackie Biskupski, the mayor of Salt Lake City, is up on the right holding the Path to Positive Declaration. They had a great piece done on their commitment by the local Fox channel and quite a bit of media coverage. they signed that Utah Declaration you saw a few slides back that said we are working together to build a prosperous future, a healthy, strong future for our state. And here's how we're going to do it with clean energy and working together to help mitigate and to adapt to our climate, our changing climate. So, feel free to look at these websites to get some ideas. Here is the Path to Positive Los Angeles website. And again, they made a commitment. They have done tremendous work in a very challenged area, challenged because of the number of highways and the emissions from vehicles and the just large area of Los Angeles. They have urban heat challenges, they have extreme weather, but they are doing things like a Cool Roofs initiative and a Cool Streets initiative to help mitigate and adapt to some of those climate impacts. Our last one that we've just started working with is Southwest Florida. We did an initial survey that showed some surprising attitudes there. The folks in that community didn't realize that over 80% of their residents were concerned about the changing climate. Hurricane Irma was a real wake-up call for them. And so when we released the survey results and did some interviews at local media, it garnered quite a bit of attention. And so now there's a regional climate director there who is working to engage different aspects of the community, working at the local level to help people understand the connection between the extreme weather, the hurricanes, and the climate, and then giving them solutions of how they can all be part of a better future. So you've seen the main elements of our toolkit, and we want you to know that this is geared toward local leaders. We hope that you find this extremely useful. We hope that you download the whole toolkit, put it on your website, share it with your community. You can join the Path to Positive Communities. You can sign up for our newsletter or our talking points. If you go both to ecoamerica.org and pathtopositive.org and subscribe, you will get all the latest information and the resources that we're working to help you every day engage your community and move your community forward. We're also working on an ambassadors program. We are training local leaders to talk to many groups of people, talk to people in the health community, in the faith community, but also business and academia at the local level to help people connect the dots and help them see the positive solutions that they can all be part of. So please look for our ambassadors program as well. And if you sign up for our newsletter, you'll get information on how to sign up for that, how to get ambassadors in your community, and how to help you spread the word through trusted messengers to spread the word about solutions that everyone can be part of. And finally, one more resource we have is an annual meeting that we hold every year. It's called our American Climate Leadership Summit. And I'm going to turn it back over to Megan to tell you a little more about the one happening in 2020. If you're listening to this webinar after March 2020, just know that we do this every year. Megan.
Thanks, Jennifer. We hope you'll join us this coming March 25th and 26th in Washington, D.C., where, as Jennifer mentioned, we'll be having our 9th annual American Climate Leadership Summit. The focus of the summit is ambition, restoration, and justice. As we all know, we need to raise our ambition on this issue. We need to bring forth solutions at scale quickly. We also need to be focusing on restoration because that is the most just solution. That's really restoring our climate to pre-industrial era, one that is healthy, verdant, vibrant, and gives everybody a chance to live their best lives. Lastly, justice is a big theme of the summit. We all know we need to center justice in our work, not only in thinking through solutions and including folks in the decision on solutions to bring forward, but also in caring for the communities that are already being impacted by the changing climate we're seeing. So we invite you to join us for 2 days where we will not only be able to listen to inspiring speakers, but also work together to collaborate on how to deepen engagement within our communities, how to diversify who leads on climate and how they lead, and how to forge collaborations within and amongst each other and beyond the folks that are in the room to help us all go farther faster. Over 500 leaders join us at this summit, and we hope you will join us as well. So take a look at American Climate Leadership Summit. You can go to acls2020.org or follow the links from ecoamerica.org and register, and we hope to see you there.
And again, just want to say thank you so much for listening. Please feel free to contact either me or Megan at the emails you see on your screen. We are here to help you. We are here to make sure that we are growing public support and political will for climate solutions all across America. Your role as a local leader is incredibly important in achieving these goals. Thank you again so much, and we hope to hear from you soon.